Trust this. That's the theme for today. Trust what? Half the analysts are bullish, half the analysts are bearish. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, S&P is going to get to 6,500 this year. Market sells off. They all start lowering their forecast. Market bottoms out and breaks out last week. Now they're all revising their estimates upward. Who the heck are you supposed to trust in this dang market? Well, I'm going to get into that in this video, and I'll explain in just a minute. Let's take a look at our recent picks. NVIDIA is the bullish stock pick that I gave you Wednesday, pre-open. I love the breakout on NVIDIA, and you can see it right in here. That was a beautiful breakout above the 200-day moving average. I had mentioned to you the stock is going to open higher on Wednesday. Do not chase it. Wait for a little pullback. Well, if we go into the 15-minute chart, we'll see that's what we got on Wednesday. We got this beautiful little pullback. Half of the gap is preserved. This was our entry point, and it synced up beautifully with the market. That was a really nice trade. There are probably $3, $4 in that trade. Really nice. In fact, all of the shorts that I've been doing, I've been making money on. So I've posted my entry, and I've posted what happened through the course of the day, later in the day, and how that trade worked out. We're keeping everything very short term right now. Last week, I gave you a long and a short because I didn't know what the market was going to do. So the short was AFRM, and we know that the market absolutely took off. So you had AFRM gaps up with the market. There was a great shorting opportunity in AFRM this week, and I took advantage of that trade on Thursday. I still like this short. And I also gave you Tesla. That was a beautiful long. So if you came in on Monday, and I'd mentioned that the market was going to be opening higher in all likelihood because of the China trade deal, you had this big gap up on Monday, and we rested right below the 100-day moving average. No, I would not have bought just below a major moving average like that. We had to break through it. So once we saw the price action Monday for the market and the stock, hey, things are going gangbuster. This is going to set up to be a decent trade. Tuesday, you can see how the 100-day moving average was breached. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart on Tuesday. So there's your gap up on Monday. Tuesday, when we broke out through this resistance level, guess what that level was? Right there. That was the 100-day moving average. Hey, we blew through it. New high of the day, strong market. There's your entry point. That was beautiful. That was at about $322, and the stock ran all the way up to $350. Excellent pick. So, what the heck is this theme, and what am I supposed to trust? It's not who you trust, it's what you trust. Price is truth. Price is what directs us constantly. So you can let all the headlines pass by and just focus on what the institutions are doing. That is reflected in price. So let's take a look at what happened with the price action this week. Well, we got a really big breakout here Monday, and that forced a lot of short covering. So anybody in here, myself included, right in here, what was I doing? Nothing. I've got a lot of people posting that you got it wrong. You got it wrong. The market went higher. You got it wrong. I got what wrong? I wasn't doing anything at that point. I said, I need to wait for technical evidence that resistance is there. And when I see that resistance around the major moving averages, I want to barely creep higher, and I want to roll over. And when I start seeing some long red candles off of that rejection, then I can start getting short again, because this is the primary move that I'm focused on. And yes, there are a lot of fundamental considerations that are playing into my macro analysis. This rally right here was unexpected because no one expected Trump to lower tariffs on China to the degree that he did. The rhetoric there has been pretty harsh, to be quite frank. China has said we've survived without the U.S. for 5,000 years, so the heck with the tariffs, we're going to do just fine. And Trump was saying, yeah, I think tariffs around 80% is probably where we're going to settle in. Well, they were raised, and they're at 30%. They were raised given where they were a year ago. That's still going to weigh on the economy. So this is not a free pass. This is going to impact economic growth. So we're hearing that Walmart's going to have to start passing along higher costs. That's going to be inflationary to consumers. Okay, that's going to weigh on the market. But again, we're starting to get into fundamental news. We heard Friday after the close, Moody's downgraded U.S. debt. So the S&P futures sold off about 60 points on that news. What's going to happen when futures open in about 10 hours? Well, my guess is they're going to continue to move lower. And one of the things that we've been watching is the sell-off in bonds, which drives yields higher. That's not good for the economy, and it's certainly forecasting that the Fed is not going to be easing anytime soon. And the Fed has said higher for longer. But again, we're getting into all this fundamental analysis when I start mentioning all these factors, and they contradict each other. If you look at the price action of the market, it's telling us what's going to happen. And you've got the big sell-off here and the big rebound here. So what does that tell us? That tells us there's a tremendous amount of volatility. Buyers and sellers are paired off. Tread cautiously. So in here, we were short. In here, we were short. We took profits in here before that low was established. Right about in here, I told everyone, listen, this is a good exit point. Take your gains on shorts. A bounce is coming. We avoided that long green candle right in here. We were selling naked out of the money puts here, selling naked out of the money puts here, day trading to the upside. And in here, my suggestion was to keep your trades very short term, not to take a lot of overnight risk exposure, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And that is where trust this comes into play. Everyone thinks that you've got to be able to forecast what the market is going to do all the time. And that's just not how this works, because there are going to be many, many moments when we don't know what's going to happen. And this was one of those junctures with incredibly light volume, tiny little body dojis. We're heading into a news vacuum as far as economic releases, which, by the way, the upcoming economic releases this week, calendar is very, very light, and we're going to be heading into a holiday session. So that's going to have an even greater impact on volume, and it's going to continue to drift lower and lower through the course of the week. So not a lot of news scheduled, not a likely trade deal with China. Those were my thoughts going into last weekend's video. Turns out, well, that guess was wrong, because tariffs did get lowered. So the market breaks out, but I didn't have any exposure. I wasn't long, I wasn't short. So what did I do the whole week? I recognized that this breakout was legitimate, and I managed to post trades every single day that were winners. So how is it that I'm wrong here? I'm not. I'm trading what the market is giving me right now. And that's what you need to do. So when you get a breakout like this, what is going to happen? Well, first of all, you've got a massive gap in here. Really nice follow through the course of the week. A lot of that was that Trump continued to post new trade deals. There's a lot of money coming into the U.S. in terms of foreign investment. Okay, that's going to be good for the economy. And that news was fueling the market higher. But now we've got news over the weekend that Moody's downgraded U.S. debt. That's going to have a big impact Monday. I wouldn't be surprised to see the S&P 500 down 100 points on Monday. And now the big bill, the tax cut bill, the budget bill that they're trying to get through the House and the Senate, there are Republicans who are not going to be voting for it. So we've got another snag, another piece of bad information in a light week as far as economic releases. So I think that this is going to weigh on the market. But if you just looked at the technicals and forget everything else, just look at price. What is typically going to happen on a breakout like this? You're going to come back and you're going to test the breakout. That's what happens almost all the time. Was the news so good that this is going to translate instantly into huge profits for Q2? No, this is all going to take a lot of time to work through the system. And we've got global macroeconomic conditions deteriorating. That's going to weigh on the market. But technically, we could expect that everything is not peaches and cream and that the market's going to come back and it's going to test these major, was resistance, now support levels. How we do that is going to determine if this is a failed breakout with a double top lower high, or if we come back and the market finds instant support right at these major moving averages, then we've got a chance to test it, bounce off of it, and continue to move higher. Great. I'm going to wait for that moment. I'm going to wait for that price action. When I get it, I'm going to have really nice stocks lined up on the long side to take advantage of it. If the market has a couple of long red candles that blow right through these major moving averages, I'm going to respect that. And I'll tell you that if this happens, you've got so much bullish sentiment in the course of the last week, lots of bullish speculators. A move down to these major moving averages and through them is going to flush them out. And you can see a nice backside drop here, and the market continues to pull back. I'd mentioned to you that my personal stance on all of this was those longer-term macroeconomic influences were going to provide resistance for the market. I knew we were going to get some trade deals. Struggle, struggle, struggle. Don't spend much time above the 100-day or 200-day moving average and roll right over and sell off. That's what I thought could happen. Wasn't trading it, was simply waiting for that rejection. We may still get it. I'm ready to go either way. I don't care, bullish or bearish. Just give me some clarity. And once I have it, I can trust it. But when the market is doing this, up and down and up and down and up and down, I might as well be trying to predict the flight of a bat. Okay, I can't do that. I need that goose that's flying at 5,000 feet in a tight V formation. That I can predict. That goose is migrating and I know where it's going. And that's the type of setup that I need when I'm going to start trading the market aggressively. Until I have that clarity, I keep my bets small. So let's take a look and let's see what we've got in terms of a couple of stocks. Again, the calendar is pretty light this upcoming week. We've got the budget bill is not going to get passed anytime soon because you have Republicans opposing it. So over the weekend, that's a negative piece of news. We had consumer sentiment came out Friday, lowest level ever. Okay, that's not going to be good. And then you've got the Moody's downgrade. So Monday morning, I think we're going to see some selling pressure, but that's what we should have expected anyway, technically. We were not going to just rally and go right through the all-time high because we don't have that much good news. This was mechanical. This was unexpected news that hit the market last week. So a lot of institutional traders who were short call premium at this level had to rush in and cover those trades, and that fueled the move higher. So let's see if we can find a couple of stocks that we like. I'm going to run a simple search here, and I'll show you the criteria that I'm using, and we're going to find a stock that I really like. So I've got relative strength on a D1 basis. I've got price greater than $10. I have option liquidity rating of -3 or higher, so it's got decent option liquidity. I'd like to have a stock that's above the 200-day moving average. I'd also like to have a stock that's greater than AVWAP-E. These are all decent candidates. If you start flipping through, you're going to find some stocks that are better than others. What I'm looking for is a company that's released earnings and that's had a decent earnings reaction and that is not too far out of the gate. What does that mean? That means that I don't want to see that the stock has rallied 20% in the last 2 weeks. I want something that's still fairly close to its breakout level. QUBT is that type of stock. And you can see that there were earnings after the close on Thursday. This was the reaction on Friday, and you can see how the stock continued to move higher. Here's the clue. Put up extended hours. Uh-oh, look what happened after the market closed on Friday and that Moody's news hit. The stock was down almost $1. Hey, we can expect some selling pressure on Monday. Great. What do I want to see out of this stock Monday? Well, I like this pattern here. Stock pulls back, rallies off of the low, compresses. So this is a quantum computing stock. It's been a really hot sector. And you can see this beautiful breakout through horizontal resistance. Really nice, long, tall green candle on heavy volume. What do I want to see Monday? I want to see the market get nailed. Sell the S&P futures off 100 points. Sell them off 100 points on Tuesday. What do I want to see the stock do during that time? I want to see it preserve as much of this long green candle as possible. I don't want it to come back below this horizontal was resistance, now support. I want to see these gains hold. Why? Because if the market's selling off, and this stock is able to preserve those gains, it tells me that buyers are engaged. They still want to buy this stock. And we're not talking about short-term money. We're talking about long-term money. They don't care that the market's down Monday. They don't care that the market's down Tuesday. They see this stock as a good investment for the next 3 years. And so on any pullback, they're going to be anxious to buy more of it. That's how relative strength forms. And that's what we have to be watching for. And if we get that type of price action out of this stock, whenever the market finds support, and I don't know when that's going to be, if this is a failed breakout and we roll right over and head south for the next 2 months, you may not be buying this stock for a while. But if the market pulls back and it bounces off of these major moving averages and most of this tall green candle is preserved, you know buyers are in there. And as soon as the market bounces off of these major support levels, then you know this stock is going to fly higher because it's already given you signs that it wants to go higher. Buyers are motivated. So I like this stock on the long side if I get a huge market sell-off and support right in here and the stock preserves that long green candle, I'll buy it. It's going to be a great pick and it's going to continue to move higher. So with that relative strength, my downside is relatively limited because I have all of those institutional buyers in there. And my upside is unlimited because I've got this beautiful breakout and I don't have resistance till maybe 22.50. That's a huge gain. That's almost a double from its current price level. I like it. So if this move on Friday was all fluff, just a bunch of hype, just a bunch of excited little investors with no staying power, what am I going to see when the market pulls back this week? I'll see all of these gains erased and the stock will move right back into its compression. No bueno. I don't want to see that because that tells me this move was not legitimate. Well, then I'll go find another stock. I'll find one that is holding up well. So on any pullback Monday and Tuesday, if you are still bullish, and I'm waiting for confirmation, I'm going to be looking for stocks with relative strength, and I'm going to be ready to play them just like QUBT. That is my bullish pick this week. What's my bearish pick? Well, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to hit flip side. So let's see what we got on the bearish side. Here you can see lots of stocks. I flipped through a lot of them. I like a lot of them. But there's one in particular that I like, and it's DECK. And we're going to take a look at that. It's Decker. What do I like about this stock from the short side? Well, you can see what the market's done in the course of the last week, and you can see what the stock has done in the course of the last week. Again, proof that we've got AVWAP-E, and this indicator works really, really well. So while the market's in rally mode, what has the stock done? It keeps bumping its head up against AVWAP-E, and it can't get through. And so Decker Outdoors, they make a lot of apparel. Apparel makers have been relatively soft, and we can see that from the last earnings announcement, which I need to go in and see. 522 gives us a little bit of time this week to trade this one, but we're only about 4 days out from earnings. So do not hold this stock through earnings. Make sure that you're out of this position before it announces earnings. And I'm going to give you another pick because I hadn't looked at when earnings would be released. I thought that they had already posted earnings, but I like this sell-off. Do you see how nice and tight this price action is on the way down? And during this massive market rally, the stock barely got off the deck because there are sellers keeping a lid on it. And it couldn't get through AVWAP-E. I believe you're going to see this stock pull back. I hope that this company has announced earnings because I saw similar resistance, UPST. And they did announce earnings after the close. And this is another nice one that came off of this search. There are actually quite a few of them on there. So what do we got going here? Why do I like this stock on the short side? Well, you can see earnings after the close. Stock sells off immediately the next day. Okay, it bounced off of the low, but part of that was this massive market rally. Okay, you can't keep all stocks down when the market is going gangbusters to the upside. So it's going to find some buyers and it's going to try to move higher. Well, it hits resistance right at the 200-day moving average. And you can see how even when the market was going up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the stock was starting to soften and it was going down. So I like this rejection off of the 200-day moving average. You got a small little upward sloping trend line right there, right at about the 50-day moving average or so. So what do I want to see from this stock? Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing it sell off come Monday morning. And if we go into the extended hours 5-minute chart, we can see, oh yeah, there's going to be selling. It's already down $2 after hours on Friday. Every stock is going to be down. If you go and look at what the after hours market did on Friday, it's going to give you a pretty good clue of which stocks are going to be the weakest come Monday morning. And tomorrow morning, you should be in there looking for all of the overnight losers to see which stocks are going to be really weak before the open. Look for stocks that have broken major support levels on that move from Friday's close to where they're indicated to open Monday morning. And if you have those major moving averages that are going to be breached, or if you have rejections off of the major moving averages like I've just shown you, those are going to be really good shorts. I'm looking for follow-through selling. So what's going to happen Monday morning, Pete? By the way, I'm recording this about 10 hours before the futures open. So I have no idea of if there's going to be follow-through or if they're going to buy up the Moody's news. I suspect that they're going to continue to sell it off. Why? Why do I feel that way? It has nothing to do with my bearishness. It has to do with the technicals that I've shown you. And the technicals in here with this big gap up and this short covering move that took place, a lot of bullish speculators plowed into the market. Oh, here we go. We're going to make a new all-time high. These are very weak hands and they can be easily flushed out. And when you get this kind of gappy, patchy price movement, you never would have seen, if this was a strong rally, by the way, what would you have seen? What would have told me that my bearish thesis was wrong? In here, green candle, long green candle, long green candle, couple days pause, long green candle, long green candle. No news, just nice, steady price action. That would have been what I would consider organic, natural buying. That yes, conditions have improved, we like what we see, but that's not what we had. We had this kind of doji uncertainty. Buyers and sellers are paired off. They're waiting for news. Oh, there's the news. Blam! They rally the market through, and now everybody's trying to play catch up. So I don't buy into this rally until I see a retest of that breakout and a bounce at it or well above it, because that's going to tell me that buyers are snapping that up. Hey, I missed this move. I'm not going to miss it again. When I get the pullback, I'm going to be in there aggressively buying. So even if there's some bullish speculators getting flushed out, come on, I'll let you get flushed out because I am going to be a buyer at this level. And then the market flies off of that support level. So that's what gives you clarity. That's what you can trust. You can't trust the headlines because they're bullish one day, they're bearish the next day. You can trust price. Price is truth. And so watch what happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at this major support level now, and know that the volume towards the end of the week is going to dry up. So now we've had good news, good news, good news, good news, and now we're going to have a weekend where we have bad news, bad news, bad news. So let's see how much of this little breakout we can preserve, and then what happens right here, be it a breakdown or a bounce, that's going to give us clarity. Then we're going to know how to position ourselves. We're going to watch QUBT. We're going to see if it can preserve its relative strength. We're going to watch UPST. And I think UPST was down. Decker was down a lot. I'll go with both. We'll review both. We'll review DECK, but make sure if you take that short that you are out of that before earnings announcement. I don't even want to mess around with that. UPST is going to be your pick of the week on the short side because it's already announced earnings. So we're going to go with that one. But I think DEC will probably be a decent short as well. And we bounce off of it. Netflix has been a strong stock too. I like Netflix, but your pick is going to be QUBT, and we're going to look for that long green candle that we posted on Friday to be preserved. That's all I've got for you. Please watch for my short videos during the course of the week. When I get some market clarity, I record the video, I show you the pick that I like, and then I review it towards the end of the day to let you know how the trade fared, good or bad. But I'm also giving you all the technical analysis. Here's what I like before I put the trade on. Here's why I'm putting the trade on. Here's what I'm expecting it to do. And then I go through the analysis and I tell you exactly how it played out on the backside and why I decided to exit the trade. This is really good information for those of you who are still learning how to trade. So please make sure to watch those videos and post your comments. I'd really like to get some traction on some of those. Trade well. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.